Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another cardboard piece that I want to fill with some art, and I am using this paper piece. It was something I laid under my work, so my desk does not get that messy, and I have a lot of painted color all over this. Also, I have some stamped images there. Sometimes I try the stamp or I clean it. There are some brush marks, some acrylic ink splatters. It's everything just smushed on this piece of paper. It's a newsprint paper, and I want to adhere it to this piece of cardboard, and I want to have that dark area and also the pink on the cardboard because I really like the contrast, and that's I think that matches perfectly because it's quite a long piece of cardboard. I really enjoy working on this surface. It's it has a bit of this texture, but I don't really mind that, and I think it's a great surface to experiment on and to try things out. And I think you always can recreate something similar on a more expensive background or on a canvas or on a wood panel. Just the wood panel stuff is so expensive that I think often you would not start. And with this cheap cardboard piece, you just can start and make something. I'm using gel medium to adhere the paper. I'm using the Liquitex matte gel, and I use a dough scraper that is usually meant to be used in the kitchen, and I think that's quite an easy way to apply gesso or gel, and you also don't have to clean it. You just can wait for the gel to dry, and then you can remove it, or you just can wipe it away while it's wet with a wet wipe. If you don't have a piece of cardboard handy, you can just use a paper as a base and do the same techniques. And also you can work on canvas or any other surface or in your art journal. I think that's a technique that works well on every kind of surface. As always, I have a blog post with photos of the project over on my website, and I link this up in the video description. And I also want to thank you for your lovely comments for the last project. I think you really enjoyed that. That's the reason why I did another one with cardboard. And I think I maybe do a few more in the future because I so enjoy working on this surface. And I have a bunch cut here in my studio, so I want to use them. I want to press that down. And then I will lay another layer of gel on top of that paper. I also want to go on top with more paint and stuff, so it's a good thing to have a layer of gel on top, as this is just a newsprint paper. In my last video, I got a comment with a question why I'm using a viewfinder when I then cover things up on my background. And I think I already explained that in a bunch of my videos. When I start creating, I don't know where it's going to end, and I don't have a plan what I am going to do. And that's the reason why I use a viewfinder, because I want to have a nice background piece that I like, and then I see what I want to add on top, and whatnot. And that's also part of the creative process, and I find it really enjoyable. I love doing this. It's not as it's not kind of work that I say, oh no, I don't want to do it because it takes extra time. It's something I really enjoy doing, and that's the reason why I make it. Here I just get rid of this gel. I have pressed the paper down with that catalyst tool, and I have some of the texture, but I don't mind that. Here my gel is completely dry, and I am going to add some white acrylic paint. I want to cover up that busy area in the middle of my piece, and I'm adding a bit of water to the paint because I want it to be a bit thinner so something can peek through the white layer, and I will not cover up everything. I just want to bring in some structure and some sharp edges of the white area, so the busy background is a bit balanced out with the white. I hope that this makes sense. And that's something else. I'm covering up a big piece of my collage, but I didn't know that I am going to do it. And now I do this intuitively because I am covering these areas up that I'm not 100% happy with, and I'm keeping the areas that I like. So that's simple the reason or the way that I'm working, and that's also the way I really enjoy it. I would not enjoy it planning before where to add what and just having one layer on my piece because I planned everything before. That sounds like hard work for me and not like fun. Usually when I don't record videos and I'm painting or making stuff like this, I usually make more pieces, not only one, because you always have a lot of drying time in between, and then you can work on another piece in the meantime. So this has a lot of drying time today. I'm glad that you will not recognize it because I cut that out. But as I said, I would just work on a bunch of pieces, then you don't have that empty space in between. You can just make a big session to work. I just added some white splatters to connect the busyness of the background with my white flat area. I'm not sure what I'm explaining here because I recorded the video in German and I talked about something. Usually I forget what it was when I'm editing the video with the English voiceover. I will now let this dry, and here I'm back. I have some green paint because there is this corner on the bottom left side with that yellow paint over the Payne's gray area that gives me a green, and I want to add more green to the whole piece. And here I have the sap green from Schminke, and I'm going to add it to the top right. I also want to add some water to let it flow a little bit. As it's a bit too much paint, I just add something to my background paper. This will also become a really nice collage paper for future projects. I added the green over that spot on the bottom, but I don't like that because it makes it too dark, and I just remove it with a baby wipe. I will now mix up the leftover paint with a bit more water to make it more liquidy and make some accents on the whole piece. And again, I have to let this dry before I can come back and work on it. And whilst it was drying, I just changed the direction, and I really like this better than the one before. So I would just turn my piece around. That's a nice thing about having a piece of art not in a journal, because you can just turn it around if you want to. I will now add some more of that Payne's gray color. That's an acrylic ink from Sennelier, and I want to make some marks with it on my cardboard. And I also want to add some collage with tissue paper. And I have a piece here that I have written on with a Pentel brush pen. It's a waterproof brush pen, I think, for hand lettering or for sketching. I use it often in my sketchbook. Here it is. It's a really nice thing with permanent ink. You can buy refills for it, and I think they are available in black and gray and brown, if I'm not mistaken. And I just did some writing on the tissue paper, and now I'm going to make it a bit smaller and adhere a piece of it to my cardboard. I just use a wet brush to cut the paper so I get the shape that I wanted. I also will use gel medium to adhere this to my piece. The cardboard piece is bent a little because of the wet mediums I've used. I believe if I use gesso on the back side and just cover it with a thick layer, that it should bend itself in the other direction. So I might do this once I finish the whole piece so it gets flattened out again. What also might help is like just a heavy book on it for some time. It's not much, so I don't really mind it. And it's nothing I would sell or so. I just want to decorate my studio with it or get inspired for a canvas project maybe. Yeah. I'm now adding some marks with the acrylic ink. I will not go over my collage piece, so it's not a problem that it's still wet. Instead of a brush or a dip pen, I will use a twig, just because it gives me some unexpected lines, and I really like that that less control I have with it. I think I will leave it as it is because I don't want to overdo it. Sometimes I tend to do too much of these mark makings because it's so much fun. Here I'll let everything dry almost completely. I believe the collage was not 100% dry, but as I said, I don't want to do something on top. And I just picked out my neon Posca pen and I make some marks. Not much, just a few accents. And I also grabbed a yellow Neocolor and I want to do some scribbles over some areas. That really creates a nice texture. Yes, and the only thing I'm going to do is I will cut off a piece from the top because I feel it's a bit too much and it's not good. And I will cut that off. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. You will see how the finished piece turned out in the photos I'm going to add. I wish you a nice weekend and I hope we will see us next time. Bye.